Yeah, I'm ready. Welcome, fans and racers alike, to the Jeans Bowl F3 League, live and exclusive here on Total Sim Sports. It's time for round 10 of the season as the championship heads to the USA for the next 2 rounds. And today, it's Sebring, a track built in the height of World War II on the runways and connecting roads around the former US Army Air Base. What was once a temporary affair is now a permanent facility used year-round for testing and club racing. Sebring is a mecca for sports car fans the world over, having held its famous 12-hour race since 1952. However, today we see the Dallara F3s of the Jeans Bowl League take to the track in what surely is going to be an absolutely epic affair. I am Tim Cox. We've got Sean Cranleigh-Swash in the production booth right now. As always, I'm joined by Seb Bosher-Williams. Seb, so many of the former World War II air bases across the globe now find new uses, circuits, but Sebring, I think it's got to be most certainly the bumpiest of them all.
It certainly is. Good evening and welcome to another amazing race. Yeah, Sebring, famous for its bumps, famous for its peril, and famous for its great racing, and we are certainly in for a treat tonight. That's why we love this track. It's bumpy, it's difficult. You know, we have the Sebring 12 hours here, and we all love watching the cars tackle this amazing track. And we're going to watch these drivers tackle this amazing track once again tonight. It is going to be such a great race, Tim. I'm really looking forward to this one, actually. Sebring's one of my favourite tracks on the calendar as a whole. Whenever it's on an official schedule, I always try to race it. So it's certainly one that I've sort of been looking forward to whenever since I saw it on the calendar. So I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing.
You join us. Qualifying is well underway. Around about just under 7 minutes left remaining in Sebring. Of course, the open qualifying session as always before we then head out into probably a quick hiatus, a quick 5-minute warm-up session, and then 15 laps, and we will discover who has claimed victory here in America. And wow, look how close it is. Well, I was just about to say how close it is the top as Hermer. It's top of the timing sheets once again as Rosenkrantz instantly responds. Just under a tenth separating our top two. So someone off the track there. As we see Isaacson just pulling over. He's going to look to go again for another flying lap. And I mean, some absolutely blistering times being set out there in qualifying. Pole at the moment at 1:52.17.
Absolutely blistering times. We were having a little bit of a discussion just before we went live, about the official lap times. Because this is obviously based off the official series, so we can use that data to gauge the pace. And Herbert's currently quicker than a lot of people during the actual official stage. It just goes to show Herbert's pace. And what's even more interesting is Rosenkrantz has almost matched his best lap time from last week. So clearly the track is pretty quick at the moment, and these drivers are absolutely pushing as much as they can. And it's showing with the gap, the top three separated by less than 2/10. Then you have to go all the way down to P11 to find somebody that's P12 to find somebody that's within just further back than a second from the leader. So incredibly tight field at the moment. And just to add to this, Tim, we've got Patrick Ola here on a blistering lap at the moment. Fastest of anybody in Sector 2. Personal bests in the last 2 sectors. Not so quick on that final sector. What can he do as he crosses the final few corners?
It's heading around Sunset Bend, the final corner. Bit of a treacherous corner, that one. Let's see how he gets on. And isn't it an improvement? Well, isn't it? It's good enough for pole. Beating Hermer by just a fraction under 6 thousandths. Wow, look at that Rosenkrantz. This responded only 2 thousandths. Yes, thousandths of a second slower than Patrick Olo. You could not get any close to Seb. And I know you were having a bit of a trawl through the data, as you mentioned, from last week. And those two, I believe you were saying that they were the quickest, some of the quickest drivers on the whole of iRacing.
They're on the front page, so you can have a look at who was the quickest, and I think there was in the top 20 in the world record. So really, really quick. And what was interesting is actually Rosenkrantz was ever so slightly quicker than Patricolo in the official sessions, but Patricolo's managed to reverse that around and holds the slimmest of margins from Rosenkrantz. Talking of slim margins there, that's Catalini trying to gain as much slipstream as possible, and 0.02 of a second is so. I mean, it goes without saying, it goes within a flash. It's so easy to gain or lose such a small amount of time, and I'm sure Rosenkrantz will be looking at the data, looking at his best lap delta. You can sort of see sort of like a breakdown by sectors and going, maybe if I break half, 10 centimeters later into this corner, I could possibly gain this amount of time. So I'm sure he's going to go out again and try and push that. But we've got Hermer right behind there. Catalini very wide off the track at the moment. That's certainly not going to help his time. Patricolo as well, not managing to find the pace out on track at the moment, Tim. So really interesting qualifying session. The best part is we've still got 3 minutes to go.
Well, you have indeed. And you talk about how close it's being. A blink of an eye, Seb, is around about 1/3 of a second. And based on that, that is how much time covers our top 4 here at Sebring. And and around about half a tenth covering our top 3, as we see Roberto Fight just heading up into 5th place there. Enough for the 3rd row of the grid, and that number 17 machine. The Italian looking to make some more progress surely in these last stages. Garrett, what can he do as he crosses the line? That gets himself up into 17th place with a 153.76 the way though. He's coming through the final corner, Sunset Bend. You can see just how bumpy it is through that section as he's going to come across the line. What's that going to do to his lap time? No improvement, just lost it appears to be all in that last sector. He goes just over a tenth slower than his previous personal best, and clock running out. Time, if he's got enough fuel in the tank, just enough time to get round again, potentially. To see Olason, he's just heading down that, well, it's technically the back straight, but comes before the final corner, the Ullman Straight. That's all about getting it right into Sunset Bend, the final turn. It's a long, sweeping right-hander that is so treacherous, and this isn't looking good for Olason. It looks like he's not going to be getting an improvement for him as he cuts the timing beam. And, well, he does improve on his time, but it's only good enough to stay where he is in 12th position right now. And so I'm looking at the timing sheets right now. It doesn't look like anyone's improving too much out there.
It doesn't at all, and just to prove that, Patricolo goes 0.3 slower. Talking about improvements, we're not going to see any improvements from Rosenkrantz, Hermer, or Isaacson. Our top 4 are all not out on track. So at the moment, unless Thai or Catalini can improve their speed, Patricolo has got the pole position at the moment. So a little bit disappointing not to see that battle play out, but it certainly will in the race. I think the track temperature's gone up just a little bit, and if I'm not mistaken, the wind speed has gone just a few kilometers, which can really make the difference between, a quick lap. It can make such a difference in these cars if it's a headwind, if it's a crosswind. It's something you really have to pay attention to, and I think it's sort of catching out the drivers here a little bit, but I don't think any drivers too out of place. I think there's been some really good qualifying results, but I don't think anybody's sort of been caught out by the track slowing down within the final few minutes, which is good to see. We should make the racing just that a little bit more interesting.
Roberto Fay setting the fastest sector of anyone in the first sector. So now we're into overtime. The checker flag flies. If less you're on a lap already, you will not be able to set another new time. And we've got around about 8 drivers out on the track able to do so. Roberto Fay. There we go again once more. No improvement. He's had a best of anyone in Sector 1. Sector 4, a personal best. And he's going to really have to dig deep as the Italian if he wants to improve and head up through the timing sheets. It's got around about half a temp between himself and Isaacson. He's ahead of him in 4th place as he heads down the Ullman Straight. Let's see how he gets on. What sort of line? Oh, just losing the rear end a little bit there on the entry into Sunset Bend. Just how much he is pushing right now to improve his time as he heads across the line. And it's, well, 7 hundredths of a second slower for the Italian. So no improvement from him. And I'm just looking at it now, Seb. It doesn't look like there's no one out on track who's improving on their time, so I think we could be done and dusted here.
I think we are indeed, and yeah, you just saw sort of the frustration with Roberto Fai there, just really trying to push that final lap, and it's so easy to do that and get into that mindset, but you just end up pushing the car too much. The wrist starts to slide and you lose time. So it's sad that we didn't sort of see that final sort of flying lap, and I think Larson here crossing the line to finish his last lap, and I think just a little bit quicker, but I don't think he gained a position. So yeah, I think the track really caught out the drivers in that session. So sort of really interesting track dynamics, which is it's always what we like to see in iRacing, because it means the racing is just going to be a little bit better.
It is. The track, it's definitely on the hotter side at the moment. Track temperature 32 degrees Celsius. Ambient is 27. We're just coming up to 1:45 p.m. here at local time in Sebring, and the track is going to get a bit cooler, isn't there, out there, Seb? And maybe that's just why. I mean, it has dropped a couple of degrees since the start of practice, which was, well, some 50 minutes ago now, and that's definitely going to aid the drivers as we're, just past the hottest part of the day, and I know the track won't come down dramatically, but we might lose 1 or 2 degrees off that, which may just help the drivers as the race goes on with tyre wear, because it's going to play quite a bit of a crucial part today, because the hotter track normally means it's easier to build up temperature, which is great in the early stage of the races. However, it does aid to the ability of you overheating your tyres and creating issues where you find yourself with tyres that are too hot and therefore less grip later in the race.
You're right, and I think we've seen it in other races where we weren't expecting the tyres to go off, and this is a track where you certainly do expect the tyres to go off. You're right, the track temp is high. 31 degrees is, I think, one of the highest we've seen it all season long. It's actually dropped down to 31 now that we've gone into the warm-up session, so that will give the drivers some confidence and some hope that the track temp will continue to drop, because the lower the track temp is, the less heat is transferred into the tyres via the track, so you can push more, you have more lateral grip. It's kind of this really nice cycle that as the track temp gets lower, you just gain so much speed. I have noticed that the wind is at 21 kilometers an hour. Not quite sure of the imperial conversion there, so I do apologize, but 21 kilometers an hour is pretty windy. So I think that's going to play a part in this race as well, and that's going to mean that the cars are sliding around more. So you might end up seeing some drivers not push at the start, maybe just sort of slot into traffic, bide their time and wait until the final couple of laps of the race when they've preserved their tyres. They're going to have a big tyre delta over the drivers ahead, and they can use that and they can push forward and they can gain position. So I think this one is certainly not going to be over until the checkered flag flies.
And in terms of overtaking opportunities, Seb, it's obviously we've got the long run down the Ullman Straight. However, it's going to be a little bit tricky potentially into Sunset Bend, where as much as there's plenty of space out there, it is a tricky overtaking opportunity because of just the sheer bumpy nature of that corner.
I think it's going to entice drivers to sort of try a move, but I think they're going to be caught out by the bumps, and I think they'll do good to save it. Sunset is one of those corners where it looks enticing until you're down the inside, and then you realise it's really not a good idea, and then you have to sort of focus everything on trying to keep the car out of the wall. Turn 1 is another area like that. It's really bumpy offline. You can get a move done. But these drivers are great. We've seen their overtaking skills. We know that they can overtake in places that we don't expect to. And I think this track is really going to reward that ability to do that. And if you can surprise a driver, I think you're just going to gain so much time on them.
It's going to be an interesting fight. That last couple of sectors of the lap, all about getting the good exit off the Le Mans curve and then carrying you forward up the Ullman Straight, and then setting you up potentially a move into Sunset Bend. And of course, turn one, always hotbeds of action. But we're going to head across to a quick commercial now for the next season of the Jeans Bowl F3 League. And Duncan Roberts make up the next row of the grid, with Max Chambers and Ollie Kent making up an all-British row there. Scarrett and Nels, Van Veen and Viola take you up to 20th. Hughes and Rogenbach are on the last row, on the 11th row off the grid. But as we head trackside, let's get ready to go racing once more in the Jeans Bowl F3 League. And Patricolo heading off, but look, Herman took to right behind him. Rosenkrantz and Isaacson on the outside line. And can Herman try and sneak through here? Oh, there's this big incident in the background there. I think Nell's caught up, and maybe Kemper as well. It's all happening out front. Rosenkrantz just ran it in a bit too deep. Patricolo just had to defend there, and here comes Herman on the attack. Roberto Fay, he was just off the track a little bit here, and this is Herman's time to strike as they run down now towards the next corner, and everyone fans across the track. It's incredibly tight. We're going to have free wide, and Rosenkrantz has contact with Patricolo. Herbert just heads off as well. Aberdeen picks everyone's pockets. He's up into 4th place, making it 3 places so far. And now Roberto Fay and Isaacson have a bit of argy-bargy there, and bang wheels, and he senses an opportunity to gain another place and gets himself up inside the podium positions now. A great start from him. As we see, Luego now, he's got Patricolo trying to find his way past, trying to recover in these early stages. Seb, it's all happening once more.
It's all happening. Absolute crazy start to the race. Our main championship protagonist, Sam Herman, in 14th place. Petrocolo in 7th place. Rosenkrantz in the lead at the moment, and that massive at the start. The 4 drivers that are currently in the pits: Duncan Roberts, Max Chambers, Ryan Annals, and Fabio Viola. Huge implications at the moment. It's a absolutely crazy start to the race at the moment. Lee Aberdeen, I spy, in 3rd place at the moment. Pick up 4th place as Isaacson just gets past him into Sunset Bend. Just crazy racing. Oh, there's a car off in the background. There's a car spun in Sunset. That's Oliver Kemp going off.
Whoa, that was Kemp there. Yeah, just heading off, and it's so tightly congested, this midfield right now. So we see Herma just making his way past Larson there. Now pass to get Herma up into 12th, and they're using all of the track and some more here in the entrance to turn 1 as they're down in towards 2 now. And up front, well, it's tight as it has ever been in these early stages. Aberdeen missed that fast start, just drops place behind Isaacson that we saw briefly before. He's then followed, well, I say followed, trying to make an attack now as Petrocolo. There's Aberdeen onto the grass there. He might get away, and everyone bunches up once more. Petrocolo just finds enough of a gap to squeeze his way through. And Catalini as well, picking everyone's pocket, and Aberdeen becoming the perennial mobile chicane right now as all the 3D scrap Scott Corsa teammates there nearly have a bit of blue on blue action as Patricola heads past Catalini, but Catalini looking for a way back. Oh no, he's gone spinning. I'm not sure if that was contact from behind from Aberdeen, but that is game over with broken suspension of Catalini.
Craziness, absolutely craziness. Catalini down the order. Lee Aberdeen got railroaded there. He made a mistake. Oh, sorry, there's more contact. It's absolutely what is happening out there at the moment, Tim.
Well, Aberdeen, he just got caught up in a pinnacle. Oh no! Sent spinning Alistair Hay. And that is broken rear wing and rear suspension on both sides. That is game over for him. And this is becoming an absolute war of attrition. Aberdeen must have a slowdown because he's dropping through the field like mad as we see Wilson trying to hang it around the outside of Laredo, and he's going to get that move done. Round Sunset Bend, that inside line. It is just so bumpy, Seb, and you have to slow up. Otherwise, you get caught out. As we just see in the background there, Herma making progress. That's another place. That is past the other IGL coatings driver of Olassen. As well, Herma tries to pick himself up and get back up and running once more. There is Aberdeen after that fast start from him. He's down to 11th now. Oh, wow. I'm not even sure if we've got time to draw breath here at all, Seb. We've got 2 laps completed. You're top 10 right now as Rosenkrantz. He's nearly a second clear of Redding Fay in second place. Isaacson, as we see the 2 IGL coach driver, Larson, just heading past Olassen there. Aberdeen not able to head through, but yeah, Isaacson, he's in 3rd. Then we've got Patricolo, who's recovered back up to 4th. Newhall 5th. Wilson 6th. Luedo 7th. Hammer 8th. Larson and Olassen round out. Your top 10 is Wilson trying to get... He's trying to keep that place. Apologies over Laredo. Right now, these 2 really scrapping it hard over 6th place. Let's take a look at this replay. What have we got here, Seb? This is Herma and Rosenkrantz. This is the this is the earlier incident we had.
So let's have a look. So Rosenkrantz makes contact. Oh, so Herma's lost it by himself there. So I don't think he can blame Rosenkrantz for sort of contact there. Rosenkrantz certainly made contact with Patricolo, but not with Herma. Herma, I think, was a bit sort of surprised at being pushed onto the grass. We'll have a look here again. I think he's just put a little bit too much throttle, probably distracted by the 2 drivers sort of going off in his peripheral vision there, and he's sort of thinking, oh, this could be first place here. And it really distracts you and you put on the throttle more. We're just following through Patricolo at the moment, and you can just sort of see the effect of what happens when you're offline. So he's dived down the inside of one of the cars, the number 8 car, that is Laredo at the moment. So he's managed to get past that. So a really good recovery from Patricolo so far, and it just shows sort of his ability to really to reset his mind pretty quick, as we see one of the IGL coatings cars go very wide into turn 1. They're absolutely pushing out there at the moment, Tim.
That was Aberdeen just getting past Olassen there. That's Aberdeen up inside the top 10 now. So he looks to recover and pick up the places that he's lost so early on after an incredible start from him. As just in the foreground there, we see Luedo still trying to find a way past Wilson, who's, well, himself and Neuhoff are both at 5 places. Not as many places gained compared to Hughes and Rogan, but they're both up 8 places so far. The highest position gainers. Van Veen currently occupying that 2nd place in positions gained. He's in 12th. He's up 7 spots so far. Retirees, as we mentioned earlier, we've already had Viola, Hay, Kemp, Scarrett, Roberts, Chambers, and Annels with trips to the wall or contact, ending their races. There's Rosenkrantz now just extending that gap out the front. Luedo still desperately trying to fade away past Wilson. As you can just see how much of the track, that white line, not necessarily denoting the track, and Wilson, well, trying to distract everyone right now, and he knows, he can see the hammer is sucked up right behind Luedo. This might get Wilson's opportunity just to pull away, but does it? As he goes defensive and then just allows, well, of course, they're both teammates, both PDR drivers, but Wilson not quite making it as easy as what some might thought for Hermer there, as he's just trying to block off everyone. He's being absolutely swarmed right now as Wilson, and Hermer heads through to turn 1 on the cutback. It's, wow, spectacular stuff, but Herman not quite able to pull his way past as Wilson runs it in a bit too deep. That's going to allow Wado to come back at him, and Wilson just gives him a bit of the shoulder there, and that's back to Wado right back into Larson, who's now going to head through.
Great racing there. Josh Wilson actually apologising to Luedo there, just to say sorry. I think he didn't sort of anticipate him to be there, so I don't think that squeeze was intentional, but it certainly hurt Luedo as Larson goes through up the inside of this, sort of falling off the back of that Wilson Hermer train. So they need to sort of stop all of this sort of infighting, this squabbling, and sort of work together to catch back up to Wilson. Otherwise, him and Hermer are just going to work together and just sort of get away from this battle. As we see Luedo try and go around the outside of Larson, gets the place back, and that allows Lee Aberdeen to get involved in this action. Lee Aberdeen, I'm surprised that car is looking so straight, Tim, because he's had quite a few incidents. His Isaacson's just fallen down the field, so he's now involved in some 3D Rap Squadra Corsa battles, and got a feel for Isaacson at the moment because he's a little bit outnumbered, it's fair to say.
It's definitely the meat in a 3D Rap Squad Corsa sandwich as well. You can see clearly a bit of coordination between the two teammates there to gang up on Isaacson, but Isaacson can have this outside line. Now, normally that'd be game over, but it is less bumpier. Can he carry more momentum through the corner? He's going to get the slipstream across the start-finish line as we head out onto lap 5, and here comes Isaacson. Oh, Patrick just shutting the door late on there. That was a bit close there.
That was really dangerous for Patrick Hurley. Great driving by Isaacson there to not end up in the back of him, as we see the Larson and the Wader battle happening once again through turn 1. Lee Aberdeen just sort of watching this battle, sort of just biding his time at 9 laps to go in this race. And there it goes. That's why you bide your time there, because he's managed just to get past Larson. Good move from them. They're still side by side, actually. Larson just ahead, but Lee Aberdeen's got a really good run on him. And Patrick Hurley sort of, I think he was trying to overtake his teammate in Roberto Fay there, so I don't think it was like a late defensive move, but it certainly was really dangerous. And I think Isaacson would be not very pleased with that from within his cockpit.
Patrick and Fay, they've just swapped places. Battle for 2nd place, and Aberdeen unable to capitalise on that slight mistake from Larson after himself and Luedo spending so much time side by side. They're all battling out over 8th place. Meanwhile, Wilson has managed to pull out a 1.3 second gap over these guys right now. You can see him just in the distance. And also Hermer now off in hot pursuit of Neuhoff, who is in 5th place. He has got to make up around about 2.8 seconds to the Dutchman, as you see more people trying to break the slipstream down the Ullman Straight. on the run down to Sunset Bend. And Aberdeen going to be a bit too far back, potentially going to look to line up into turn 1. And a much more aggressive line there from Aberdeen. So he tries to get the maximum exit out of Sunset. As they come across the start-finish line, the run down to turn 1 is going to be a bit too far back, surely. It'll take a mistake here from Larson. The Australian to find a way through and just has to sit behind on the run down to 2. Let me see just how close they are. I think it's, well, I can't believe, Seb, we're on to lap 7 already, and it's only finally just calming down while I say that, because Patricolo and Fay and Isaacson are all incredibly close to one another, but Rosenkrantz, he's just checked out of the front. He's said goodbye, off he's gone on his merry way. Now 4.7 seconds clear at the front, and last time around, fastest lap of the race, 1:52.6.
It's exactly what Rosenkrantz needs to do, especially with that contact at the start of the race. I think he needs to build as much of a buffer as he really can against sort of this gaggle of cars, because I wouldn't be surprised to see him picking up a penalty for that incident into the hairpin on lap 1. So I think it's really crucial for him just to keep on building that gap. He's just got to drive it as quick as he can. And you know, I think what's going to help him is this Patricolo, Fay, and Isaacson battle. I think it's building up, and I think Isaacson, I think, will be pretty upset with what happened, you know, with the two teammates sort of helping each other to both overtake him. So I think he's going to be pretty upset.
Across you, because it looks like Isaacson is just going to try and find a way round the outside of Roberto Fay, but not able to quite get a gun, looking for the cut back, and well, nearly into the back of him. Carrying so much more momentum, but Fay just making him do the hard work around the outside into turn 1. Can he hold on, or can Isaacson swoop down and capture that third place from the Italian? He gets the move done, and Fay just sneaking back up the inside there. He's not going to get that move done, just has to back out, has to yield, and that's going to hurt him in terms of momentum as they head out through down into Gurney Bend now.
It did. Unfortunately for Isaacson, he got a slow run out, so Roberto Fay is really close now. Can he get around the outside of the hairpin? We've seen quite a lot of action here today. Can he send it around the outside? Isaacson looks up, but they just somehow avoid contact as we head back towards the Lee Aberdeen fight.
Took a contact. Wilson has just had a tap from behind. Oh no! As Aberdeen caught up in that action. And that is Olason. He's had a front end incident with him with broken front rings all around. Oh, Luedo into the back of Wilson. And then I think Aberdeen had his own incident there into the back of Larson. And then Olason's come round the corner, been presented with a spinning Aberdeen, and then they've had a front end collision and no front rows for Aberdeen. That's going to be race over surely for him. As Newhoff now tries to mount an attack against Isaacson, and Roberto Fay's had he's got to have had an incident somewhere or something, because there he is right in the background. He's behind Hermer.
Absolute craziness on lap 8 of the race, yeah. So Aberdeen sort of had a sympathy spin, I think we'll call it. I think he was just, again, distracted. We've seen a lot of drivers sort of really distracted on power. Like if there's something happening sort of around them, they're really distracted, and it just shows how much power that these cars have and how much attention you really need to put into to the throttle to make sure that you get away slowly. And that's Luedo going very slowly on the exit of Sunset Bend. So something's happened to him. You're right. Something has happened to Roberto Fay as we see Luedo go down the inside of the number 46 car of Larson. Good move by him. So all happening out there at the moment. So, you know, we're saying that it's sort of race over for Aberdeen. He's still in 13th place. You know, it's not it's not the worst result ever. You know, you can put a new front wing on it, and off he goes. So it's not the worst result for him, but it's certainly not ideal. And yeah, it's such a shame when things like that happen. But it's just sort of one of those sort of racing incidents that you can't really avoid in races like this, especially sprint races when, you know, the pressure's so high and you're trying to sort of almost use the yellow flags to your advantage. You always try and sort of push through them to gain as much time. It's sort of silly as it sounds. So one of those incidents. I'm sure Aberdeen isn't too upset, and I think it's just been one of those races, Tim.
Now, let's take a little look at the stats you see up on the right-hand side of your screen right now. You can see just how Rosenkrantz is pulling away from Patricolo. And they pretty much traded identical lap times last time around. Patricolo a 1:52.46, whereas a 0.48 for Rosenkrantz. 200ths of a second separating those, but that lap was good enough to get Patricolo. Fastest lap of the race so far. However, expect to see Rosenkrantz respond to that one as we see Luedo versus Larson once more. They're having a go at one another down the Ulman straight last time around, and Luedo, the Spaniard, trying to find a grip and momentum and pace around that outside line, looking for the cutback. He's going to be in the slipstream of Larson, who heads across onto the racing line. Is he going to defend that inside? No, he's not. Luedo says, thank you very much. I'll have that gap. I'll have that opportunity. And claims 7th place from Larson.
Once again, I mean, this battle keeps on going on as we see Larson down the inside, or at least attempting to go down the inside of Luedo once again. So this battle really not sort of trickling out. Not one driver is sort of fast enough sort of to get away from the other. So I think this, I mean, hopefully we hope is spectators that this battle sort of will continue for the next 5 laps, because it's some really good driving at the moment. And so if they keep on holding each other up, is Larson again once again sort of makes one of those sort of half-hearted dives down the inside, sort of just to sort of show that he's there. And in the background, you can just see Josh Wilson just sort of gaining ever so slightly every lap. And if these drivers continue sort of to fight like they're doing at the moment, Wilson will be there sooner rather than later, and he's got a point to prove here. Even, you know, Luedo, he was involved with Luedo with the contact in the hairpin, and as a driver that does motivate you just to push a little bit more. You know, you've got more motivation to catch up to the drivers and overtake them. So I think if these continue to battle, Wilson will be there, and he will be hungry for those 2 positions.
You see Larson now trying to find a way back past Luedo. These two having a real battle for the ages, and see Luedo all over the track trying to break that slipstream down the Ulman straight. Can't deny the inevitable as Larson closes right up, and Luedo doing enough off the exit of the previous corner, Le Mans curve. So they're almost out onto the grass, the pair of them, and Hermer, what's been going on? He's now right up onto the back of Kenzie Neuhoff, and equally, Isaacson, he's not far up the road either. You see the green IGL coatings, F3 just head through there. And Hermer is now within sight of a place on the podium, potentially. 4 laps to go here at Sebring. Still all to play for in the Jeans Bowl F3 League. Perhaps the gap between Rosenkrantz and Patrico, that's neutralised out front at around about 4.7 seconds. Patrico now 4 seconds clear of Isaacson in this 3-way battle that is shaping up for 3rd place. Redfay, he's still in 6th place. Luedo 7th, Larson 8th, Wilson 9th, but he is closing on those cars in front of him, of Luedo and Larson. Van Veen, he's inside the top 10 up 9 places. Steve Hughes, the next roadbook there, 11th to 12th, but they're up 10 places. Great drives from those two. So we see Herman now. What can he do? Can he find a way past? And this is surely now, Seb, all about just setting this one up to pick his pocket into Sunset's Bend. We see what has happened to Steve Hughes here. This is down into the hairpin turn and just loses the rear end on entrance.
It does indeed. Very easy to do. We've seen a lot of action at the hairpin today. Sam Hermer goes to the inside into Sunset Bend, and we see Larson and Luedo once again battling in the background. But this is really important for Sam Hermer, as we see that move by Larson continue to happen. These drivers have been battling so well and so cleanly. It's so great to see from these 2 drivers. It's been so enjoyable to watch. But it's really important for Hermer that he's gotten up into 4th place. He's got Isaacson ahead of him. Hermer actually took the fastest lap, not on that lap, but the lap before. So he's got the point for that at the moment, and he is catching Isaacson in a rapid rate of knots, so he could be back on the podium, which would be a great recovery drive for Herma. But this Larson and Laredo battle is just sort of, it's building, and you always feel like it's going to come to a conclusion at some point. And it also looks like Wilson sort of dropped off the back of this. I don't quite see him. Oh, there he is. So he's still there.
He's just close up bit by bit, inch by inch, as Wilson, but he's probably going to be running a bit of damage as with 3 laps to go here. Rosenkrantz, he leads from Patrick Colo as these two still going at it once more, and can Laredo find that way past? They've been inseparable of these two as they come down now into Tower 10. Tight right-hander. We'll head down the Flying Fortress straight through Bishop Bend. And these two, well, they've got 3 laps to go, and I sense, Seb, these two are going to swap places 2, maybe 3 more times at least.
I think you're right, and I think if Larson can pull off another move like that, he'll have the victory, as it were, over this pair, because that was an incredible move. It really took Laredo by surprise there, and that's exactly what you need to do. Is what I was sort of explaining about in the warm-up. You know, if you can do that, you can really, it's your position to take it if you surprise the driver. And interestingly, Laredo not able to get past Larson on the back straight into Sunset. We've seen the sort of the lead, the position change quite often in this little battle into Sunset. So interesting that Laredo's not sort of making a move at the moment. I mean, he's looking like he does want to make the move. So I think Larson looking quite good at the moment as we see Laredo sort of tries to outbrake him towards the outside, tries to unsettle Larson, tries to sort of be on a different line. It doesn't really matter if you're a bit slower. You just got to sort of surprise the driver. And I think Laredo's sort of feeling a little bit upset with himself, I'd say, by sort of not anticipating what Larson managed to do on that last lap.
It's just lining him up for one last lap lunge of, you know, it's quite, sometimes it's easier to be the car behind rather than the car in front, as these two have remained inseparable for so much of the race. As Laredo looks on the outside, he's going to get that move done in spectacular fashion. I mean, that is a tricky call to pull a pass in anyway, Seb, let alone going around the outside like Laredo has just in spectacular style here at Sebring.
It was, and I think that will feel extra good for Laredo, because that's exactly what Larson did on the lap previously. Larson down the inside.
Oh, he's locked up. He just locked up on entry, and this may well just give Laredo the breathing space that he needs as Larson drops back, and Rosenkrantz, he's coming across the start-finish line. He is out in front by 4.8 seconds over Patrick Colo, who can might just catch him occasionally in the background. Isaacson in third, however, he does have Herma with him within 8/10 of a second, just coming back. But that is Olassen, though, coming past. He's in 14th place. Kenzie Newhoff, he is in 5th. Actually, that's since we've last run through, Herma has managed it past Newhoff there. Great recovery from him. Laredo runs in a bit deep there. Face if Laredo 7th, Larson 8th. He now has Josh Wilson, fellow Scandinavian, breathing down his neck in 9th place right now. Richard Van Meel, as there goes Larson, and that is game over after so much great racing from the IGL Coatings driver. Well, that's going to promote Van Veen to another place. That is up 10 places for him now. Dutchman is going to be ecstatic with that one. All the way down in 19th, and the cars behind him also started on the grid in respective places. Steve Hughes, he's rounding out his top 10. He's up 11 places. Likewise is Alex Rogan-Buck in 11th. If they two up 11 places. Lee Aberdeen, well, he's got the front wing repaired. He's back out on track, and he's into 12th. There's so many retirees. Nearly a lap down, and the last car on the lead lap, that is Olassen. Actually, the last but one car running. Larson, which obviously heading to the pits, retiring. Drivers they've got going against its earlier instance. Viola, he is in 15th, but he will probably climb Well, he may not do, actually. He's a bit close to the end. Not sure if he will do. The free Iraq squad course driver in 15th place. There's the white flag. It flies here at Sebring for Chris Rosenkrantz. The other driver to get going again once more is that Scarrett, the IGL coatings driver, and Rosenkrantz now 5.2 seconds clear at the front. As he heads around turn 2. And that round into Gurney Bend. Just needs to bring it home safely. A quarter of a lap complete of his final rotation of this famous circuit. Down now into hairpin turn. Down the towards the Fangio chicane. There's more of a so much of a standard chicane. It's quite an open one here. Yeah, just to speak about the corners too much since there's been so much action out on track. Down into the corner, through Collier Curve, down to Tower Turn now. He approaches, half a lap completed. Just needs to bring it home. We've seen incidents happen all the way to the line in this league. This is not done and dusted by any stretch of the imagination. Despite that big gap they held over Pachacolo in second place, all it takes is one little mistake and there are drivers behind you ready to pounce and willing to do so. As he heads out of Le Mans curve, he's just got the Oldman Straight and Sunset Bend to navigate. You see Pachacolo in the background there. He's 5.2 seconds behind Herman. I think he's going to be a bit too far back to claim that last place on the podium off of Isaacson. But off leader as he heads round Sunset Bend for the final time and comes across the start-finish straight to take the checkered flag here at Sebring in the Jeans Bowl F3 League. Rosenkrantz wins. Round 10, Pachacolo is in second. Isaacson, he holds on to third place with Herma coming across the line in fourth. Newhoff fifth. Roberto Fay, looks like he's going to come across in sixth. There we go. Laredo, seventh in the end. Wilson picks up eighth after what was initially a good start from him. We've got Van Veen in ninth. And Hughes is going to come across the line in 10th place. And wow, Seb, 15 laps of sheer drama once more.
Sheer drama, indeed. It was a great race, and yeah, well done to Rosenkrantz and everybody that finished, because it looked like it was pretty tricky out there to actually finish the race.
Head to the promo video for next season of the Jeans Bowl F3 League.
Yeah, I mean, crashes on the second to last lap, just absolute carnage out there. I want to give a huge mention to Steve Hughes. Great job from him. Uh, in 10th place, up 11th spot, sort of kept the car clean. He had that spin, but survived the first corner, which many cars didn't. So great job by him. It just shows sort of on days like this when the racing gets a little bit hectic, if you just sort of stay out of trouble, the result will come to you. So great result by him. Great result by Rosenkrantz too, although there was some murmurings in the race chat, Tim, the voice chat. I don't think some of the drivers were happy with that turn one, lap one dive into the hairpin. So I think, like many of the races, I think this is a to be continued. So we've had drama on the track, and I think we're going to have a little bit more off it before the final results are released.
Had the top four covered by 0.3 of a second, our top three by under a tenth. You're always going to get classes, surely, and people tripping up over there. It's going to take fine margins and even finer margins than what there are between their best laps to get an overtake done over your competitor. So, let me see. If you see the replay of the incident there, and I mean, 3-1 was never going to work. I mean, it's always a bit of a struggle with that corner. 2-1, as we saw in the last stages of the race, and wow, what can we say? It was incredibly tight once again here, and what can we say about this championship? It has never failed to deliver on action, on drama, and overtakes. And we can't wait for the next round. And, well, unfortunately, we've got only 2 rounds left of the season. And next week is the penultimate round. And from myself, Seb, and Sean, we'll see you in a week's time as we head to the Virginia International Raceway.